welcome and thank you again for tuning in to, I guess, the third time we're getting together. It's truly a blessing that Zion Global family and Zion Global friends are able to tune in and get some real meaty information. Today we're going to hear from Joshua Johnson to my right here, and he's going to be giving us some information in the area of financial planning. That's his specialty, but God has blessed him in so many ways and the gifting is there. So we kind of going to just do it in a flow. And I pray that you will share this with someone else. You'll actually let somebody know that we are on the air and there's some information that's being shared here at Zion Global Ministries that's worth your while. And I think when we get finished today that you can say for sure, I heard something that made sense. I heard something that I can use and something that I can do. I can go and do something with it right now. Hey, Josh, we are in a series here. I hope and pray that you've been able to follow along with us. We are doing some incredible things with this series on plan. And we're going to incorporate that into what we talk about today because the plan piece just means everything to me. Now that you think about it, I'm in project management, and without a plan, literally, you have nothing. And so there is a reason for us being together. Plan is purpose, line up, act, name. Now the name, I will tell you, was giving me some problems, but Pastor helped me with this, that you have to name it. You actually have to declare it. And it's the same to me as writing things down. And, in your plan, you write things down. But Josh, I'm thankful that you could join us today. I'm really thankful that you could help us today. And I want you to just give the people that are tuning in a little bit of background of, kind of what you do and how you do it a little bit. And then we'll dive in a little deeper.
Sounds good. Well, I'm a certified financial planner with McKinley Carter Wealth Services. And I've been a planner for close to 32 years now and started off with my own firm, Grace Financial Group, back in 1989. And over the years, merged with my existing company and was acquired, and I've been with them ever since. Over the years, I guess what got me excited was when I learned about how money works and how little knowledge that we have, especially as a people when it comes to money. It just got me excited, and I just couldn't wait to tell all my friends, what I may have read in a book or, studies that I had. And I wasn't even in the business. I was just excited about what I was learning. We didn't get taught any of this stuff in school. Our parents didn't know much about it, so they didn't teach us much either. And so I just got pretty excited about it. And from there, I learned, maybe I can do this, on a full-time basis. And so I opened up my own office and started from there. And since then, I've worked with thousands of families and helping them plan just to get them on the right track. And sometimes it was emergency situations. Sometimes it was just people wanting to know, what do I need to do next to get to where I want to be? And that's when we create a plan, that's what we're doing. We look at your current situation, we look at where you want to be, and we determine what's the best process to get you where you want to be. Whether it be, retirement planning, goal planning, college planning, whatever it may be. How can we take the resources we have today to help us get to where we want to be? If it comes to retirement, how can we have the lifestyle that we want to have? What is it going to take to get us there? So that's kind of what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. I think about our families a lot, and the information that you were just sharing, where a lot of things weren't passed on. And you might learn how to cook, you might learn how to work hard, but the area of money, it almost seems like it's taboo a bit. But I'm thinking there's some basics, just the basics of understanding. I was reading an article and I saw where our community spends somewhere close to $800 billion, and we're 13% of the country.
Yes.
So I don't know how many of us you see, but talk to us a little bit about some of those fundamentals, some of the basics that you really want to get across to your clients.
Well, there's numerous areas that we really should focus on. I would say the first one would be just basic savings. Many of us don't even have enough. If an emergency were to pop up, we don't even have the ability to go into a savings account. It's been documented that most have less than $1,000 sitting in their savings, if that. Some have a negative balance sitting in their savings. And so just focusing on a plan, how can I get to this point to where I feel comfortable, where I can sleep at night in case some type of emergency would arise. Instead of running to the payday loan places, and you get yourself in this revolving debt, and it never gets any better, because as soon as you get paid, you got to go back and pay them, and then now you're short of money, and now we got to figure out where I'm gonna get extra money, so you go back and get another loan, and it's been a huge business for them, and we never get anywhere. Then we also need to look at attacking our debt. We have significant debt that we really need to look at bringing down, minimizing, and getting down to zero. You just read off a statistic about how much we spend as a community, and I would say the concern I have from that is we are very quick to go out and buy something with money we don't have, just to impress other people that we don't even know.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
And instead of just being content with what we already have, we're going out spending additional money just to look good, just because we're concerned about our image. I think about the time when my car went down, and it was a nice car. And so I didn't have the money to go and replace it at that time because of, scenarios going on. And so I got a replacement car, and it was an old car. But I didn't let that bother me. People were seeing me driving in this car, and then the next day I'm driving in this other bucket, that's 20 years older, with the muffler making all kinds of noise.
What's your image look like?
What's my image look like? And I didn't care.
Okay.
Because my personal thought was, you know what? If you don't like how I look, there's a dealership, go buy me one, and then I'll look how you want me to look. So we can't worry too much about our image if we're trying to move forward.
Right.
And then as you progress and move forward, then you can go and get what you want. You
Right.
can go and get, because you now have the cash flow where it's affordable. Also, I would look at insurance. I'm sure you all know that when it comes to our family members passing away, and there's nothing there to give them a proper funeral, and so many fundraisers have to be done just to take care of those final expenses, or to pay down their debt, or asking the church for assistance, where if we would have just gotten the proper life insurance just for the final expenses. Don't let me get into how about getting enough coverage to take care of your family when you're gone. If you leave, so does your income. So make sure you have enough coverage to take care of your spouse and your children so they can continue on. If not, your wife now she's going to be under all kinds of pressure if that money was needed and expected. So those are the things, even into the estate planning area. Most of us don't even have a simple will. And if you don't have a will, power of attorneys for health care and living wills, the state pretty much tells you what you're going to do.
Wow, say that.
The state will say, well, this is how it's going to work. So let's make sure we get these proper documents in place. It doesn't take a lot of energy to do it. It may not even take a lot of money to do it, but we got to look at those fundamentals so that we know we can make sure everything is protected, everything is covered, and then we can, instead of leaving debt and creating more of curses, we can improve the next generation. You know, I've seen many families, I've helped many families where they've left significant sums to their family members, and then they get a nice boost, and then they do the proper planning, and so if something happens to them, their family members can continue to do well. So it's passing it down, generational blessings. But you got to plan first to do it.
Exactly.
If you don't sit down and write it out and say, this is what we're going to do, what we're going to accomplish, you'll never do it.
Right.
You'll just constantly think about it, you just constantly talk about it.
I heard a word probably 20 years ago that said that we're typically scratch babies, which means that every time we start, it's a start over. So every generation starts over, you know, nothing's left. I may be inheriting some debt. I may be inheriting some of the things that, you know, my parents or grandparents or whatever left, but to have to start over, and I don't have a plan for even that. And so this area that we're talking about right now is very significant to me. The church has gone through a serious time since the pandemic. And some churches at this point have not made it. And the reason I think as the Lord gave our pastor this whole series, it identified and shed light on no plan. And you know, when you have a lost loved one, there's many people who have lost loved ones during this time. And who knows how many GoFundMe pages have gone up, you know, and it's sad because you're having a feeling at that time for a person that's, you know, they're deceased, and now I got to deal with a funeral, and I actually don't have the money just to put the person in the ground. So when you know, have a conversation, you know, and maybe you can share this, when individuals come to you, are they coming with their plan, or they're actually looking for a plan?
I would say both. Some may have a plan, and they would like my opinion on their plan. And in many cases, we need to make major adjustments to their plan. Understand, as I mentioned earlier, most people don't truly understand finances. They don't understand what it's about because we're not really taught. It's a little bit more accessible today. You know, you could go on YouTube, and there's everyone out there talking about it. But it really boils down to either you're studying it for yourself or working with a financial advisor who has the experience that can help you and say, for your situation, this is what you need to do, to where it's customized. With those that don't have a plan, and most don't that I meet with, I create one for them. I find out what's important to them. I look at their values, their goals, what they want to accomplish, what's important to them in life. You know, how do they want their lifestyle to be? You know, it could be just as simple as, how do you feel about debt? You know, are you okay with it? Want to reduce it, or are you okay with leveraging it? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding how they feel. And then from there, we can actually create a plan and say, okay, let's tackle these primary areas. We got your insurance planning. Do you have home insurance, auto insurance? Is it proper? Do you have a liability umbrella in case you run into someone and they sue you for $1 million? Do you have disability insurance? You know, disability insurance or disability at one time was the number one reason for foreclosures. So if we're not working, that income's not coming in, and we can't pay the mortgage. And that became a primary reason why people were losing their homes.
So off work, no
Yeah.
income.
And so after going through your insurances, even, long-term health care, going into the nursing home, many people don't have anything in place, so what happens? They got to file for Medicaid. In order to qualify for Medicaid, you basically get all of your assets wiped out. And the person that's sick is going to be okay. They're being taken care of. But what about the healthy spouse? They're living on breads and crumbs while you're in the nursing home. Looking at retirement planning, we don't want to work forever. There's going to be a time we want to be able to stop and enjoy, the latter season of our life.
Right.
What do we need to do to put that in place so that we've accumulated enough along with the income streams we may have coming in, whether it be a pension or Social Security, to give us the ideal retirement where we can actually enjoy it, not have to be over at Walmart greeting everyone when they come in just to get by. And unfortunately, there are many people, if you look in restaurants or retail locations, there's a lot of seniors that are there, not because they want to be there, because they have to be there. And so let's look at creating a plan so that we can avoid that. Now, I gotta say this disclosure, some of them wanna be there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of them, they enjoy it, they don't need
Something to
necessarily.
do, yeah.
But I need to say that because I had a client that jumped me about that one day, because she actually,
He said, I ain't got no problem working.
right, she actually liked it,
Yeah.
and she did it just to be around people because it was
Exactly.
just her. So I gotta put that disclaimer in before y'all start sending me emails.
So you mentioned, I'm gonna hit two things. You mentioned leveraging debt. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna hold that to the side. If you look at an individual that is, last week we talked to Radell, and we were talking about low to moderate income. So if I fall in this low to moderate income arena, can I have a plan,
Absolutely.
or do I need to be wealthy?
You can literally save and invest in, let's say, a mutual fund. There's funds out there you can invest $25 a month. And if someone say, well, I don't have that, then what I do is do a cash flow review. Where is your money going? Let's figure out exactly why you don't have $25. In most cases, not all, because some are, it's real tight, but in most cases we can find that. The two biggest expenses that I see that could be reduced, as we talked about earlier, is shopping, buying, things that we don't need, and dining out. When you literally look at how much you're spending in restaurants, whether it be fast food or, I know you like to do the steaks, where it may be,
Yeah.
that typically adds up.
Right.
And so those are the first two places I look at, where's that discretionary money going? And most cases, people don't know. And so we need to pull out records, okay, let's figure out where this is going, because based on what your other expenses are, you should have some left over. So I would say it shouldn't be difficult if you're working at a job. In most cases, they have 401k plans available, and you can have it come straight out of your paycheck, so you don't even see it. You don't even have the opportunity to blow it on something else. Plus, it helps reduce your taxable income as well, so you get a bonus there. And it just automatically comes out, and if it's pre-tax, it reduces, even though you put in, going with the low, $25, it may only affect your net income by 20, just a couple bucks. So you won't really notice it. When it comes to insurance, if you're working at a position, a lot of times your employers will provide life insurance benefit to you,
Right.
or you can get it on your own at a very low rate. So regardless of where you are, you can create a plan to get you where you want to be.
So it doesn't matter about the income per se.
No,
Okay.
no. It's if we maintain that mentality, we'll never get anywhere.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm thinking that before someone would come to a financial planner, there's maybe some soul searching that might need to happen, because it's going to be exposure, right? And if I have no plan and I've been just kind of winging it, and you're going to give me a plan, then I got to share with you where I'm at, right?
Correct.
So I wonder if that inhibits or prohibits or causes some of our folks not to even expose it or share it or try to get help.
It can, and that goes back to pride. You know, when I talked about how I had to go and drive a car that I didn't really particularly care for,
Right.
we've got to learn how to humble ourselves at times. And so if you're wanting help, the best way to get help is to be able to open up. And if we're not willing to open up, no one's going to want to help you.
Right.
You know, a line that I've used for 30 years, I'm here to help anyone that wants to be helped.
Right.
If you come in and you're holding back and you're not giving me the information I need,
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time with you. And that's just the bottom line. When
Yeah.
you're ready to open up, then I can help you. But if you're not willing to disclose, hey, this is what's really going on, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to help you.
I was thinking about the scenario of a doctor. You go to the doctor and say, well, I need your help. They're like, okay, what's wrong? I don't know, I just need your help. Well, you don't give me anything to work with. Is it your head? Is it your leg? Is
Right.
it your arm? So they're diagnosing, they're trying to determine what
Right.
it is, how do I help you, right? So I'm thinking that a financial planner kind of uncovers in order to come up with, like, what's the best way to help you, right? Now, when you said leverage debt, because that's, debt is usually negative. I mean, it's considered, most people would say, I don't want debt, or, I'm in debt, what do I do about it? How do you actually, I don't know if you could talk about this or not, but how do you leverage debt?
I would say with leveraged debt, one, you need to already have financial stability.
Okay.
But when I brought that up as an example, in many cases it's regarding, for example, real estate,
Okay.
where you're using the bank's money to help, build equity.
Okay.
If you're getting a loan, these days they're 3 to 4%, and so you're paying them 3 to 4% to have, let's say it's an investment property or even your own residence. And let's say you received an inheritance for, $200,000, but yet you say, well, I'm gonna take a portion of that, put it down on this property. I'm gonna use the bank's money to finance this house,
Right.
and then I'm gonna take this cash I have and invest it. And if I'm earning more than what I'm paying, then I'm using the bank's money over here, and I'm allowing this money to continue to grow. This is growing at a compounded rate interest. This is over here at simple. So this is going to continue to grow while you're paying this down. And eventually you can take this money that you built and then eventually pay that off and still net significant more than what you have. But like I said, that's when you're getting into more advanced planning.
Okay.
Because the first thing, if you ain't got everything else together, I'm gonna tell you to take that cash and pay down all these credit cards and everything else and get that out of your hair.
Okay. So the strategy is to reduce debt.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct. When you're looking at, for example, the credit card debt, that's not good debt. You want to get rid of that. But if you're using debt to help you improve your net worth, then it's not necessarily a bad thing.
So, most companies have budgets, right? And at times they'll say, hey, you got $1 million budget, right? And you reduce your budget by your spending, and they keep track of it and all that stuff. And then sometimes they adjust it. Because you had $1 million budget, but budgets got cut.
Right.
So we're down to 500,000 now. Now you work with that. So in a home, I hear people talk about budgets, and I think everybody should have a budget. But there's budget surplus and budget deficiencies, and in your basic terminology or basic understanding, what is a budget?
Well, I'm actually talking about two different things.
Okay.
A budget is planning in advance
Okay.
of what you're going to do once you receive the money.
Okay.
So if you create a budget and you say, okay, when my paycheck comes in, I'm going to have so much going to my housing expenses, so much going to my auto expenses, so much to take care of my liabilities, so much for groceries and vacation or whatnot. And so you're laying it out. This is how I plan to spend this money. This is how I'm going to allocate this money. I'm going to have an amount. This is what I'm going to be saving for my other goals. So that's what you do before you receive the income. A cash flow review is you listing where the money actually went.
Okay.
So you made a budget. The goal is to try to follow that budget. And then you write down over here in a cash flow review, this is how much went where, and then you compare the two.
So details.
Yeah, it's more details. It's saying, okay, we spent $80 on, eating out. We budgeted $100. So we're actually on the positive side, about $20. But we may have budgeted, $300 for gas. Gas keeps going up.
Yep.
So we may have actually spent $400. And that way you can say, are we staying in line with what the original budget was? And if we do that, what happens is you can find out where your money is truly going. You can see, okay, it's going here. I don't really want it going there. I've spent too much on, my coffee, and not realizing, what, that's I don't even know what coffee costs anymore. $5, $10.
Starbucks.
Yeah. I'm doing every day.
Yeah.
That could have actually went to helping that gas budget, or, as you mentioned earlier, just to go to a savings plan somewhere.
Right. I thought about, the dollars that you spend. Of course, we want to stay away from payday lendings and all this stuff, and how much money do I really, really have, and what do I do with the money I have? If you're trying to get fundamentally in the right direction, is there a, 70-30, 60-40, some kind of scale for, my debt to income ratio? Is that something that's kind of plain or something that's out there?
Well, let's say you're trying to get a mortgage. Banks are going to tell you if you want to qualify. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, but just to give you an idea, they don't want your mortgage payment to be more than 28% of your income. Then when they look at your total debt, they don't want your mortgage payment on top of your other liabilities to be more than 45, 50%. Because if they feel that if it's gotten much higher than those percentages, that you have a higher chance of defaulting on this loan.
So we're in this season right now where people start filing taxes. And I don't want to be negative, stay positive as possible, but folks look for those refund checks. And everybody doesn't get a refund check, right? There are people, you probably don't get a refund check. There are others that don't get refund checks, but there are some who get significant refund checks.
Thousands.
And I'm just thinking, is that, even though that's a beautiful thing in a way, is there some strategies maybe that could just say, well, I'm about to get $10,000. I don't have 10,000. Now I have 10,000. You know, because I do see it on the other side, back to the spending, where the 10,000, 30 days later,
It's gone.
it's gone. You know, and I'm like, well, what do you have for that? And so, is there, you know, just some couple, 1, 2 things?
Well, I would say first we need to understand what a tax refund is.
Yeah, right. Good point.
In most cases, a tax refund is you overpaid and you lent money to the IRS. I guess you were feeling sorry for them, that they needed help. So you're lending money all throughout the year through your paycheck, and you're actually giving them more than what you really need to. And so a calculation should be done. And understand it's a 0% interest that you're earning. They're not paying you anything,
Right.
you know, as far as gains. You could have, even if you put it in your savings account, which isn't paying much, it still would have been more than what they're giving you. On top of that, you're paying a tax advisor to get your money back. The goal should be break even, adjust your withholdings so that at the end of the year, I don't owe them anything, they don't owe me anything. Now, of course, trying to get it to a zero break even is going to be extremely difficult, but try to keep it in a tight window. And so you may have to adjust those withholdings. Now, if you do that, you'll be getting that money throughout the year. Your paychecks increase. So as you was asking earlier about finding money, that is one strategy that we may recommend.
Okay.
Because instead of that 10,000 getting it at the year end, that could be potentially $800 extra per month. That now you can use that to start paying down debt, or to get that insurance plan you need, or to start a retirement plan, or to just to breathe, for that matter. And so now you're getting it, and you could be a much better steward if you're getting it over time. But what do we normally see? Folks get them lump sums. Cars are sold through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
And today is the worst time to buy a car because the inflation, the prices have gotten ridiculous on those. But folks are buying cars. 30 days later, the car died before the 30-day tag is expired.
So now what?
And then you're starting back over again.
Yeah.
So, or they're out, you know, making purchases of things that's really not needed, where they could be using that money to go in better places.
Yeah, it's a real struggle, and it's a cycle that I think if it could be, you know, right-sized or corrected, you know, that's just one area for me that if it could be corrected. I think about the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and understanding that really we have access in so many ways. Our jobs get us X amount of dollars, but it's the Lord that gives us the power, the ability to get wealth. You know, and what does wealth really look like? You know, does wealth equal $1 million? Does wealth equal $10 million? Does wealth equal 100,000? You know, when you look at that picture, when somebody says, well, you know, I want to be wealthy, okay, what does that mean to you?
I will say wealth means a different number to everyone. I've worked with clients where they have double-digit millions of dollars and don't consider themselves wealthy. They still don't think they can retire.
Wow.
They feel it's, you know, there's no way. And I have to keep encouraging them and showing them charts and graphs. No, you're good, you're fine, you know, but it's here.
Okay.
To where someone else who may just have $150,000 and can feel wealthy. It's really not about the dollar amount. It's having the freedom to do the things that you truly want to do, to live a lifestyle that you want. Some people are very happy just being modest, don't need a whole lot. They're happy they've got their home paid off, and you know, they've got income coming in. You know, when I look at true wealth, it's really about looking at your total picture. You know, they're more concerned about their families.
Amen.
And how well they're doing, and their health. As we get older, our health becomes much more important, and we can consider ourselves more wealthy just because we can get up every day and do the things we want to do. So I can't put a dollar figure on wealth because it's going to be individual for each person.
Got it. Well, I understand, man, there's a lot to this. There's a lot to financial planning, and I know we're just kind of skimming the surface here, and I'm just thinking about the kingdom. The kingdom suffers, and there's so much that can be modified, changed, implemented, put in place. Part of that plan is ACT. So it's a movement. It's an actual movement, something that can be done. And I think about, I've been knowing Josh a little bit for a while from college days, but a lot of things weren't put in place while we were in college. But just as you have stepped into this arena, just think about this for a moment, and we'll kind of land this plane. But the kingdom is beyond the walls of this church. From your perspective, being in financial planning, how do you see that impacting the kingdom?
I'll say this, over the years, I've spent a lot of time teaching. When I first got started, I went to different churches, organizations, and just teaching classes. I even taught down at a class down at Sinclair College in Dayton. And it's interesting who wants to get the knowledge to move better. And what I think is even more interesting is, for example, in a church scenario where people are complaining about being in the position that they're in, and then you offer an opportunity to where they can learn how to be in that position. And instead of taking advantage of, in most cases, free learning to help yourself, they would rather go at home, watch a soap opera, and keep complaining about it. But the ones that actually step in and say, I need help, I need to learn how this all works, I have to say, I've seen more of them do better and seeing our kingdom doing better. And I can't tell you how many people that I've run into that come up to me to thank me for, teaching. I don't even remember them. I mean, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember you taught in this class to do this, and me and my spouse decided to do it, and this is where we are today.
Amen.
And so it touches my heart when I hear that folks have been able to, increase not only just their wealth, but, their life in general. And so just think about it. If we were all in a much better financial state, what we can really do for the kingdom. Instead of just having our hands out as a beggar, we can turn it around and be a blesser. And if I'm able to bless you and bless you and bless you, what does God do? He gives me more so I can continue doing that. So if we can just turn our mentality from being a beggar mentality to a blesser mentality, I think that would make a huge difference when it comes to the kingdom.
Awesome. I'm thankful. I'm really, really thankful. And I pray that you heard something today that actually affected you, and that's something that you can chew on. And this is just the beginning. There's more. There's some details and a little bit deeper dive that we can do, and we plan to do, so that you can learn even more in this area of finances. I believe if we can get this together, the church could just bust at the seams. It doesn't matter about people per se, but there's some things that we really need to do in the area of finance, and God is really turning the corner for us. So I'm glad that you were able to join us and share some of this information, wisdom. I believe it's a calling, part of your calling, because I know there's more. But God is actually doing some great things right now. This is a season where He is sharing so much with us, and I appreciate you sharing with us today. So Zion, we're going to tune in a little bit later, but thank you again for tuning in tonight, and shalom.
The Zion Global Ministries way.